We're going to talk for a little while about film acting, of which I've done a little bit. And the first thing that will happen to the audience is, of course, for the rest of the day, they will be completely ignored because you don't exist. My fellow actors and I can regard you as the crew, right? And once you're in front of that camera, nobody exists. Nobody, except the other person in the scene. And what we do, we actors who are in the movie, we hang on to each other's eyes. That's the most important thing in film. Eyes. Eyes. If you're fair and you've got blonde eyelashes like I have, you wear mascara, because if you have blonde eyelashes and you're in a movie, you might as well be in a radio play. In the cinema, it's a very, very infinitesimal space you have in which to work. So this is our movie camera here, and we use that as the movie camera all through this show. So what I'd like someone to do is to put down a mark for me. Is there an assistant who can put down a mark for me to hit for a close-up? We just need a piece of tape or a bit of chalk or something. I thought it was going to panic everybody that I asked for something. Just, where am I? Let me just see where I am. Pull it up, the camera up a bit. Is that as high as, that's it. Just hit there. Put it on my feet there. Now I've got to come in and get to there. If I go to there, in a movie camera, I've gone through the focus, because the focus ends here, and the focus ends here, and so if I'm back here, I'm fuzzy. So the way to do that is to get on the mark, and if you're going to say a line, you go backwards. So when you go forwards, if you're going to say a line, and then you're on the mark. That's the first simple lesson. With a close-up, which I've started with close-ups because they are eventually what sells you in a movie, because people see your eyes. And I'll take my glasses off. What you get in the cinema, my friends here watch the monitor. What I often see in television or cinema is people who are looking at someone else and they change eyes. Can I have some? Come stand here, Simon. You stand off camera, and then I will look at you. Stand. Always remember, if you're doing a close-up with somebody, you are the off actor, the one who's off the set. Get as close to the lens as possible to bring the other actor around to the most advantageous for him, which is right round to the lens. So you don't pan right, cameraman, because you'll hit something. Now, you see actors, and they're acting, and they change, and it's an infinitesimal thing in the eyes, is they change eyes as they're talking. Can you see my eyes changing there?
Yes.
Just, I'm changing eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm blinking. Now, that is two of the worst things to do. First of all, you never change eyes, and what you do is you pick an eye. Now, which eye do you pick? I look with this eye, because the camera is there. I look at this eye, at your eye there, which brings my face, you can see. If I look with this eye at that eye, look what you get. Yeah. You see the difference? Yeah. But it's the same look. And if I keep blinking, it weakens me. But if I'm talking to you, and I don't blink, and I just keep going, and I don't blink, and I keep on going, and I don't blink, you start to listen to what I'm saying. And it makes me a very strong person, as opposed to someone who is sitting there going, which is someone who's completely flustered. The camera is like somebody who loves you deeply. It's the most incredible of mistresses or lovers, whichever sex you are, because it will love you forever, in spite of the fact that for the rest of your career, except on given occasions, which we will come to, you ignore it. It does not exist. You never look into it, you never know it's there. You just hold the eyes of the other person and listen. And listening is really what acting is all about for movies. It's not like the theatre. It's an entirely different situation. When I was in the theatre, I was inadvertently given some advice by the theatre producer. When very young, I was in repertory in Lowestoft. And he said to me, "What are you doing, Michael?" And I said, "Nothing, sir." He said, "What? What do you mean, nothing?" I said, "Well, I haven't got anything to say." So he said, "What do you mean you haven't got anything to say?" He said, "Of course you've got things to say. You've got wonderful things to say. But you sit there and listen, think of these extraordinary things to say, and then decide not to say them." That's what you're doing. And that is the greatest piece of advice I can give to someone who wants to act in movies, is to listen and react. But also, when you get really close to the camera, if some directors go in for a massive close-up, the thing that people never do in real life is they don't say, "Oh, I don't want to go out, I'll, you know, no, I'll have the egg and chips, you know." But you will see actors doing that all the time. And so when you get in here, that doesn't look so obvious until you get in here, you know. So, but you've got to just be. There is no one here. It's just you and me. You'll be standing there. And there isn't even a camera. And you just say, "Well, no, I don't think I'll have the egg and chips. I'll have the caviar and bellinis. Shall I?" And they say, "Well, no, what do you really want?" And you say, "Well, he's not doing anything." And it's a story of Jack Lemmon, who was working with George Cukor. And it was his first movie, and he'd come from Broadway theatre. And he kept doing it, a scene. George would say, "Cut, less, Jack, less." Jack would do it again. George, "Cut, less, less." Again, "Cut, less." And Jack finally said, "Look, if I do any less, I'll be doing nothing." And George said, "Now you've got it." But there is a sort of feeling anymore.
You have to do quite an intimate scene with somebody that you've never ever met before. How important is it to sort of get to know them or to feel relaxed before you film that? Say you only meet them the day before.
Well,
I mean, do you think it's important to kind of go out and have a meal together and get to know each other?
no,
So that you...
no. I think that way lies disaster.
Yeah.
You know, because you're liable to start the intimacy the night before. Which is disaster in movies as well, you know, because then halfway through the picture you split up, you're not talking to each other, and then you've got the real romantic stuff to do. No, you don't. I find it to be, the thing to do is to be extremely professional about the whole thing. In as much as this is a job, this is what we're doing, and the fact that we're lying naked in bed, we never met each other before. You know, and I mean, you're very rarely naked, but I mean, you're in getting some intimate love positions, you know, kissing people you've never met. Provided it's done. I mean, what I do is I joke about it a lot so that the female side of it, of the thing, is never under the impression that I'm getting off on it on a freebie or whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. But it's also another thing that I do. I always carry a little thing of mouth spray, you know? And just before a love scene, just in case, because you don't know, in case anybody has sort of breath problems, I always go, "Shh, shh," and the actress says, "What's that?" I say, "Have a taste."